opportunity. And then, of course, thank you, Tate. Where'd you go?
Right
Tate
there.
Hill, there you are. Tate is an incredible inspiration, and I know that he came up underneath Keith Kelly, and Keith Kelly gave him an opportunity to lead, and he proved himself, and now here he is out of the nest leading his own organization. And so hats off to you for what you've accomplished, and to your board for supporting you and providing you guidance and helping you lead in the way that you are. And this room is an incredible example to me of where Fresno is going. And it's meetings like this and gatherings like this that make me know, reinforces yet again that our community is destined for greatness. We've never been in a time like this before in any kind of recorded history that I know of. Something absolutely remarkable is happening in our community, and it's a lot of stuff coming together at the same time, and it's about time. So, and the Fresno Metro Black Chamber is a good example of that to me. So I am happy for all of you, and frankly, I feel like, you know, I just heard this amazing presentation by Dr. Watts. You have an incredible panel coming up after me. I feel like I should just shut up and let you all come, because the people who are on your panel next are some of my favorite people and people I enjoy working with. But I wanted to share a couple things with you that as I was reflecting last night on this conference and my experience in community leadership, and you know, what did the road look like? Job, and it's kind of like the, you know, the dog that caught the car. So what? And I'm happy every day that I get it, so don't get me wrong. You know, but I look back on, I was a newcomer to Fresno in the late 1980s, and my roots were in the Midwest, and I thought, I came to California, and on the surface it's kind of the same, but many of you who have lived in other parts of the country know it's weird out here. California is a different place. I wouldn't change it, I wouldn't leave it, but it's different from where I grew up in kind of the traditional Midwest. And so my intention was to leave this community as soon as I finished high school and wanted to go to college and back in my homeland, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, somewhere back there. But I ended up staying because I got a scholarship to go to Fresno State. And we went to Fresno State together. And so I stayed to go to college. My nuclear family was here. And then I graduated from college and was looking for a job, and you know, worked in my field and was just trying to make it, you know, just trying to get connected, and I wasn't really sure how to make that happen. But you know what? One person gave me a chance. It was one person that led to many others giving me a chance. And that one person for me was a teacher at Fresno State. I had to prove myself. I also learned the importance of entrepreneurship, and I never really thought of myself as being entrepreneurial, but now, having traveled down the road 15 years or so, I see the importance. To me, entrepreneurship is about creativity, innovation, flexibility, like Dr. Watts was saying, and initiative, taking the initiative. And there's a lot of work that's been done now to talk about social entrepreneurs or civic entrepreneurs. And I think this community change that's happening is all about people coming from every different sector, whether faith-based or nonprofit or private sector or public sector, coming together, those who have the entrepreneurial skills to bring about change in the community. It doesn't matter what sector you're from. Some of the most entrepreneurial people I've worked with in this town, and I'm not kidding, are federal government people. Can you believe that? Raleigh Smith is one of the most entrepreneurial people I know, and he's a Fed, for crying out loud. You know, and then of course there's all kinds of private sector entrepreneurs and CBO entrepreneurs, whatever. But I think as a community, we started to embrace this idea that we could change things, but it took us being entrepreneurial, and it's that value kind of settled into our community. We've started to see some really positive results, and so that was certainly a life lesson for me, was entrepreneurship. No matter what you're doing, if you're leading the PTA, if you are serving in a group at church, if you're heading up a nonprofit or on staff at a local government agency or working in a local business, those who make the most difference tend to be those who are entrepreneurial and take initiative and embrace all of the other things that Dr. Watts was talking about. Probably the most important of those things to me, in the list of things he was talking about, is the stewardship or the servant leadership piece. And I think that that has been such a paradigm shift for Fresno in our sort of community leadership sphere, understanding the importance of stewardship. When you look back over the history of Fresno, and it's no one person that was bad or wrong, but you know, you look back from, you know, say 1970, 1960 backwards, and you hear a lot about corruption and about things going off track, and it was people who were in charge that didn't embrace stewardship. and people who really were about themselves. And again, I could never begin to pinpoint it on any one person, so that's not the message. But the moment for me when I learned stewardship. Some of you know Deborah Nankivell. I saw stewardship from Deb. She talked about it. She lived it. I learned it from her, and I wasn't really good at this when I first started working in the community space. I was pretty much excited about making sure people knew everything I did well. I was pretty much thinking I needed to promote myself. I was like, I thought that's what you did. And then I start working with this lady, this good government advocate, turned criminal defense lawyer, turned CEO of the Fresno Business Council, who was so about stewardship and really loving the whole and stewarding the whole and all that. And for 10 years I worked alongside her. It changed me forever. And many of you have worked with stewards and you know what I'm talking about. But that's the big shift, I believe, in Fresno. As that has started to take hold, and I think it's been over the last decade, you've started to see a lot of other things break free and break loose. And new resources coming to the table. Turns out there are resources. There are people, there's talent, there's ideas. But it's starting to come forward as we embrace this idea of stewardship. So those have all been real formative kinds of experiences for me, and I share those with you today in case they're helpful to you as well. The last thing I want to just leave you with is this. I know what it's like to want change. I know what it's like for 10, 15 years, working, believing, hoping, praying, knowing that our city is to be different. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be on the side of, we're not there yet, but I know it's coming. And if we keep pushing, and if we keep believing, and we keep overcoming, we will get there and we will see it in our day. I know what that's like. But I want to tell you that I believe our community has turned a corner. And it's really important when you're hoping so much for something, when it starts to show up, you have to recognize it. Because if you're still in that mode of, oh God, would you please come? And he shows up. Or, oh, I want change in my community so badly. And people are coming and they're acting differently and they want to let bygones be bygones. If you don't see it, if you don't recognize it, and you're still on the side of hoping and begging and believing, but you can't see it when it's happening, you miss it. Okay? There's been a real important transition in our community. I believe we are now to be walking in expectation. The things that we've hoped for, the things that we've believed for, the business growth, the access to opportunity, the improvements in our educational systems, residents taking their neighborhoods back from gang violence, all people coming to all of that stuff, let's believe that it's now. Okay? What if it is? What if it is? Wouldn't you act differently today if you knew that the things that you've been stretching for are now suddenly in reach? Wouldn't you act differently? You would, wouldn't you? Okay, so we got to make the change. We have to believe the things we've wanted and fought for and believed for. Let's try on this idea that maybe it is here and it is now. What if it's possible now? Okay? It's real important because I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss it. I don't want to go another decade and still be believing for things and only to find out that they were within reach, but we walked right past them, okay? That's a little conceptual, but I think you know what I mean, all right? I think you know what I mean. Act like it's now, because it is. Act like it's now, all right? Okay. God bless you guys.